Hi everyone. Happy Tuesday, happy Art Chat Day, happy Halloween if you're out trick-or-treating and maybe you're watching this later. It is 6:30 Eastern time here, so people are out trick-or-treating probably. I don't know if we're gonna get our doorbell rung, so just sit tight and bear with me if that happens. Welcome. I'm Emily Gillespie, if you don't know, and you're here with me for a weekly art chat. When I was in elementary school, my art teacher told me that I wasn't good at art. Kids that age often think that their teachers know everything, and I was one of them, so I believed her, and it took many, many years for me to get back to doing any kind of creative or artistic activities. I really took what she said to heart. I internalized it for a really long time, and I just didn't do anything that I thought was remotely creative. I just shut that part of myself off completely. So that was in elementary school. So think how long that is, like fourth or fifth grade until I'm in my late 20s. I'm married with a young child at home. So that was a really long time, right? That's when I rediscovered my creative and artistic abilities. I realized that creativity is not measured by how well you can draw. And I realized how much joy I really get from making things. And I've never looked back since then. That was back in 2012. Now I love to cheer on other women and encourage them and help them reconnect with the things that bring them joy, whatever it may be, but especially creative pursuits. So these art chats are a way for me to share my thoughts on subjects like self-care for creatives, the evolution of an artist's voice, the importance of creativity when times are really difficult, and so on. I think I've actually been doing these for about 6 months now, so pretty much weekly. So I've got quite a library to look through. If you're interested, you can look back through my Instagram history and look back at some old subjects that I've tackled. Either way, I'm glad you're joining me tonight. The subject for today's discussion is investing in your creativity and why that's so important. So creativity, like any other hobby, can be really rewarding if it's something you're passionate about. But growing in any area doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of planning and commitment and effort and time. And time specifically is probably the most important factor that's going to contribute to your success. When I first became interested in making art back in 2012, I had nothing. I had no supplies. I maybe had a pack of Crayola markers left over from school that were dried out and didn't really work. I didn't own any paint or brushes. I had nowhere to work, and I had no idea what I was doing. At that time, I was unemployed, so I started off with 4 tubes of cheap craft paint, brushes from the dollar store, and a tiny little corner of my kitchen countertop. It wasn't ideal at all, but it was some place to start. Over the years, I've gradually built up an inventory of different art mediums. I've found a space in which to work, and I've developed more technical skills. So now I have a dedicated space in my home for my art practice. Back in 2020, we sold our unused dining room furniture and converted the dining room in our home to a studio. I don't know if you can picture it, but like a dining room kind of space. Half of it is now my husband's for his workstation, his photography equipment, and guitars. The other half over here is mine for my workstation because I work from home part of the time, and then all my art supplies and creative space. Since we both only have half of a room, it's not a ton of space, but it's so much better than what I used to have, either at the kitchen counter or even on the kitchen table. And then I'd have to constantly clear up what I'm working on so we could eat or prepare meals. But I have my own space now, and I'm so thankful for that. It's been a couple years now that I've been in this space, it's debatable whether or not I'm growing out of it. I say I could always use more space. My husband says he doesn't want to buy a new house. I think he should stop complaining. But to be serious, who knows where things will evolve in another year, or 2 or 5. Right now, I'm just thankful for the space that I do have. It's incredibly special to have your own space to work in, and that shows yourself and the people around you how much you really care and are passionate about and honor the things that you do creatively. So I want you to think back to when you first started making things. What was the first hint of your new interest, whatever it was? How did you get started? And what did you do to grow? Then think back and compare that to where you are now. And if you're a new creative, you might not have an answer to those questions just yet, and that's okay. Follow along and keep listening to get an idea of how I approached it and how other people might approach it. If you're listening and have any advice for newer creatives, feel free to comment and tune in and share any thoughts you have. So there are a lot of reasons that it's important to prioritize and invest in your creativity. The first is general well-being and happiness. That sounds obvious, but doing things you love and things you're passionate about is an easy way to increase the quality of your life. Personal development. Caring for your mind, your body, and your spirit is a key part of being whole and well. A subset of this is professional growth, but that's not as important if you're not trying to pursue a creative business. It's certainly something to think about, but if your goal is just creating for self-fulfillment, then that's not something you necessarily need to worry about. Number 3, collecting inspiration will allow you to discover and record the things that catch your eye. And that is a really big piece of how you identify and zero in on your own creative voice. Number 4, the number 4 reason why it's important to prioritize and invest in your creativity is to grow your skills, because just like anything else, you'll never grow or improve without dedication and some kind of sacrifice. And that might sound a little intimidating, but by that I just mean prioritizing the things that are most important to you, and that's something we all have to make a conscious choice for. There's tons of things that I would love to do, but making art is more important than those. So I've made the decision to let those things go. And you can too. So we've established several reasons now why it's important to invest in your creativity. The next question, though, is how do you actually put that into practice? There's a few ways you can do that. The first way is to carve out time. This covers a couple of different things. So you have to carve out time to play and explore. The key here is that you want to find out what you're passionate about. You can try different techniques, different styles, different materials, different subjects. If you are a visual artist, like drawing or painting, try using your non-dominant hand. Work upside down. Look at things a different way. Try sketching with blind contours, which means you're drawing without lifting your pencil from the page. I'm sure there's tons of examples with other creative disciplines, but I'm not really familiar enough with those to give you anything specific. But the point is, just try different things and push yourself to do things that you're not necessarily confident about, so that you can become more familiar with them. You need to carve out time to develop new processes. This is the part where you take the experiments from the previous step, the things that you enjoyed and found value in, and then see what happens when you combine those things together in different ways. There's a lot of trial and error and experimenting in this process, but the results can be a huge part of what becomes your signature style. Carve out time for continuing education. Like I said before, in order to grow in anything, you have to take the time to learn new skills and techniques. You might apply this through individual study, just quiet time to yourself in your art journal, studying works of art from other artists, trying to understand their color choices, their brush strokes, their composition, things like that. You could also do more defined and time-centric lessons, either in person or online, like through a Zoom video. I know there's some people who have done that. Or you could, there's lots of pre-recorded videos available online, either as part of a paid online course, or available for free on YouTube. There's lots and lots of different options there. The last thing you need time for, and this is the most important one, you need to allow time to practice. And all of the suggestions that I just gave you come together with this phase, because it's putting it all together and repeating the things that you have already learned. And we all know that repetition is how you get better and grow and improve. Excuse me. The second way to invest in your creativity is to commit physical space. And I referenced this earlier, but you need physical space to work in. Whether that's your a countertop or your kitchen table, or your own dedicated creative space. It doesn't really matter, but you need to be able to have the space to physically work and set out your supplies, and to move. And again, that doesn't need to be a large space. You need space for your equipment and your supplies. Obviously, physical space, like out on a desktop while you're working, but also when you're done working and you're going to put the supplies away, you could technically just throw them in a drawer, but I wouldn't recommend that. I would really recommend something that's a little more organized and specific for that purpose. The third way is to collect materials. In the beginning, again, from my example, if you're starting with nothing, there will be an investment for just the most basic supplies. But as you advance and grow, you will probably want to upgrade those basic supplies. You'll want to add to the things you have. You'll want to try new techniques and do different lessons. And all of those things will require different colors or pieces or tools. And you know, you don't have to invest in a whole library of stuff all at once, but it will happen over time. So don't get too discouraged if you're struggling. You know, if you can't find certain supplies, or if you can't afford to buy a whole bunch of stuff all at once, that doesn't matter. The last thing is networking. It's really important to get to know the people in the creative world that are around you, and also to make yourself known to them. So there's a few different groups that you'll encounter here. First, mentors. These are the people who will guide you and help you grow into where you're going. These individuals may or may not know that they're guiding you, but with the technology that's available to us now, there's no shortage of online creatives who are sharing their knowledge. You know, like having a in-person mentor or a dedicated mentor, you know, doesn't necessarily have to be in person. Again, with technology, you can communicate over the phone, by email, by text, by Zoom. There's all kinds of different options. But having a dedicated mentor, you know, that's aware of you allows for more interaction and more tailored advice. The next group is peers. These are the people who see you where you are now. They are in a similar field, maybe, to you, whether they do the exact same thing or not. Maybe you're a painter and they are a florist, or a photographer, or, you know, something in the creative field. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same thing, but say they're at the same stage in their creative discovery that you are. So these people can understand the current challenges that you're facing. They can celebrate your successes with you because they're maybe working on the same thing or just achieved that thing. And they might be able to offer a different perspective to the things that you're working through. A lot of times, you know, when we're dealing or struggling with something, we can get so close to it that we can't get a really good idea of how to handle it or how to address the situation. But someone familiar with your thought process, who is a step removed, might have a different perspective or a different solution that they could offer you to help you work through that. Another group are your consumers or collectors. These are the people who will benefit from your work. They might purchase your work. Maybe one of your pieces is gifted to them, or maybe they just really enjoy seeing it and offering their support in other ways, not necessarily financial. Whatever their role is, they they see and appreciate the beauty that you're offering. And all of those relationships can be valuable. They are valuable, and they should be honored and cultivated because they are certainly a big part of your creative growth journey. So whether you're a beginner creative or if you have years of experience under your belts, I hope some of these thoughts can give you a new way of looking at things. Our creativity is a beautiful thing that has been given to us. It's a gift from God, and it's so important, I think, to use it, but also to put in the work so that you can keep developing and growing and honoring that gift. If you're not following me on Instagram, you can go ahead and click the follow button to get notified of future episodes when I'm going to be live. Or you can join my mailing list and be the first to know about my new art collections, behind the scenes information, inspiration, and more. You can go to emilyjaleski.com to sign up, and I probably should have mentioned this in the beginning, but my my holiday ornament collection is going to be going live in just a few days. So if you want information about that, or if you want to know when those are available to purchase, just go and sign up, and you'll get an email when they're available. So thanks for listening to this week's Art Chat. I'll be back next week with a new episode, and I will see you then. I hope you guys all have a great week.